Welcome back. Today's episode is all about building your brand. We're talking personal brand, business brand, whether you're building your brand for the very first time, or maybe you've been in business for a while and you're just looking to revamp it. That's why we're here today. I'm Joe Barker and this is David Belleville, and let's jump right in, David.
So, Joe, you mentioned the importance of setting up social media profiles where your audiences are, but you can't just throw content out there and cross your fingers that it performs well. There's some legwork for us to do as creators as well, and that's to engage back with our audience. It's right there, baked in the term social media. Make sure that you're getting social and you're interacting with your audience regularly, and through that, you may get one or two content ideas as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned SEO, and so I think it's important to just touch base on it real quick. So SEO, for those not familiar, it stands for search engine optimization, and it's mainly used for Google so you can rank organically. But as we're talking about social media, SEO absolutely plays a vital role in social media also. And it's making sure that when you set up those channels, that you're setting them up for those keywords and those phrases that you want to be found for. So more and more, we're seeing that people aren't just utilizing Google for searching anymore. They're now utilizing social media too. So think about YouTube and how many people are looking up videos on YouTube of how to, or what does this mean? Same thing with Facebook. People will go on Facebook. So the process that we normally see is when somebody's researching somebody, they're going to Google them first. They're going to see, oh, there's their website. Perfect. If you have it optimized, your website should be popping up there for its name. They go there. They make sure they're credible. Next spot they go to is they go to social media. And they want to see, okay, now I know you're credible, but who are you really?
Right.
And social media is that platform where you really do get to see who they are. You see the behind the scenes and who they are in real life. And so I think it's vital to make sure that, I'll give an example as I'm in digital marketing. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, it's digital marketing's listed all over that thing. It's in my headline, it's in my about, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it should be, because if I'm going to pop up for something, I want to pop up for digital marketing. It's no different if you're a life insurance agent. If you're a life insurance agent, make sure that you have that in there. If you specialize in an area, say you are the life insurance agent for Clearwater, Florida, put that in there. Optimize those keywords. Put it in the about. Put it in the description. Put it in and pepper it throughout where it makes sense. And that's where you'll organically start to pop up. The frequently asked questions, I absolutely love that. I think when a agent or advisor or FMO or anybody who's out there that's trying to think of content to create, it can feel overwhelming at first. And you're like, well, what am I supposed to make? I don't know what people want. Those frequently asked questions are gold. It's gold. So that's what you start with. Just list 5 or 10 questions, make a video on it, make a blog about it. So here's the top 10 questions I get. Yeah. That one blog turns into 10 social media posts, turns into 10 short form videos. Maybe it's one long form video. There's so much you can do with one piece of content, and you can just use it. And on all the different social media channels and all the different formats. It's absolutely amazing what you can do just by starting with frequently asked questions.
100%. And when we start to get into the social media side of branding, that's where you get to have a little bit more fun too. This is where your personality gets to shine. And so I really want to throw I really want to put a very easy process in place for our audience to follow. If you're ever getting stuck on what type of content to be creating, whether that be social media or for your website, start to generate content buckets. Think of 3 to 4 buckets or topics that you want to consistently fill. That way, you're not looking at the insurance space as a whole and trying to pull topics out of that. You're going to be talking about frequently asked questions in the health insurance space, or let's say you have a dog and that is a huge part of your life. Earlier, you mentioned someone that was into long distance running. Mm-hmm. Incorporate those parts of your personality into your brand. So you have a dog, you have a few dogs. you just got a new dog named Rocket, right? Yep. So, one opportunity you may have is just showcasing a photo of you and Rocket, or incorporating Rocket into your content. And then maybe you've got, a cute way to present 3 marketing tips from Rocky this week or something like that, but have something that's memorable and consistent that can provide you a little bit of personality and something real and authentic that your audience can latch onto. So you've got an educational element, you've got a brand personality element, and then try to think of one more bucket that you can fill. Maybe it's a little bit more abstract, or maybe it's something extremely specific. So you get questions all the time of how to make sure you're choosing the right coverage for your family. So maybe, you're doubling down and tripling down on best practices and ways that you can ensure as a consumer that you're picking the right plans for your family. So there's 3 content buckets right there that can inform your content strategy and help inform your brand as well.
Yeah, I think there's so much content that you can create. If you think about it from the FMO perspective, and maybe it's recruiting agents, it's literally just sitting there and looking at the process of somebody going through it and writing down the questions that they ask as they're going through it. Some of those frequently asked questions may be, how long does this process take? Yeah, that's a valid question. That's something that, you put that into that bucket of, okay, I'm recruiting agents. These is their frequently asked questions. These are things that are important to them. Maybe it's that back end office support. Maybe it's, having their own schedule and creating their own schedule, and you build content based off of those. So I think it's a great idea. I think sometimes people, they just tend to overthink it. And they make building content and creating content more complicated than what it actually needs to be. And sometimes the gold is really just sitting in the basics. It's the behind the scenes shots. It's a day in the life of, this is how I do this. It's just answering those questions. Those pieces of content do amazing because they're real and you're giving it from your perspective and you're providing those answers and that guidance.
100%. And so there are strategies that one can put into place that will allow them to create content efficiently, but also at scale. So let's take this podcast, for example. We're talking about how to build a brand in 2026. We can take the transcript of this very podcast, download it, upload it into AI, and then ask it to write a blog post now based off of everything that we talked about in this podcast. And then that blog post may lend itself to 4 graphics that you could post on Facebook or LinkedIn. And so one strategy to take away from this is start with a piece of anchor content and then create derivative content off of that. Then, you don't have to think of 15 different topics or how to create 15 different messages. You can use AI to your advantage and work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, absolutely. If I was getting started and I didn't have the podcast studio or I didn't have the equipment and I just didn't know what to do, I would start with my cell phone. I would create one piece of long form content. When I say long form, I'm talking 12 to 15 minutes. That would be my long form. I would pick the subject. I would speak for 10 to 15 minutes, sharing my thoughts on it and sharing my expertise on it. After that's complete, I would then begin to do what you said, begin breaking it down, turn it into the blog post. You can upload it into AI and help you do that. So turn it into the blog post, turn it into multiple social media posts, turn it into shorts. There's so much you can do just with one 8 to 15 minute piece of content. And it will really start to build up the whole week. It's just getting organized and committing. It's just committing to it. And it really doesn't take a lot of time once you start to get the system in place. When you start anything new, it's a process.
Yeah.
And it's just creating behaviors and getting used to it. And then it just starts to flow. You and I have been doing podcasts between the different platforms for 6 months now. And now we're in our 2nd episode of our newest podcast and it flows.
Yeah.
And that just shows you over time how things get easier and easier.
And go look at any of your favorite creators out there, whether they're in the same space as you or not, and go look at the early videos. You can see the progression happen in real time over the course of weeks and months. And so just by getting started, we say this all the time, you will find a groove and you'll find some momentum and you'll get a better idea of what's resonating with your audience and what you enjoy creating, because there should be some fun involved in this as well. And so to keep things moving, we've been talking a lot about social media. One thing I want to make sure that we kind of double click on here, though, is as you identify what those content buckets are and you identify your audience, try to niche down even a little bit further, because that will just increase your chances of finding the right audience. And kind of adjacent point to that is making sure that you're really staying in your lane as consistently as possible. Over time, you'll train the algorithm to know who to deliver your content to because you've been staying in that lane so often. And so identify those content buckets, use tools at your disposal to work smarter, not harder, and then just make sure that you're consistently staying in that lane and creating content.